We all want to be successful in life, and the thing is, the greatest achievements are the hardest to achieve. So we have to work the hardest. We have to show the greatest amounts of courage in our actions in order to achieve our highest goals. Now, there are different ways with which we can achieve those goals. Like the self-talk is what I'm talking about. And I see that there are in general two ways that we can talk with us about overcoming the resistance in order to achieve our highest goals. And on the one hand, we have willpower, and on the other, we have self-discipline. Now, for me, willpower was always a struggle. For me, it was difficult to live or overcome resistance with the help of willpower, saying, I gotta do this. This is, I gotta do this or else, right? To me, willpower has always an ultimatum in it. Like, you have to do this, otherwise, oftentimes a self-attack follows. You are lazy, you're not courageous, you're a coward or whatever. And for me, this is a struggle because I like the self-talk and the negotiation. The willpower is more authoritarian. Like, we use some kind of authority in order to veto some voice, like the voice that says, oh, it's much more comfortable to sit and watch TV or spend another hour in our bed. But self-discipline is more the negotiation of, we have agreed upon principles, and in order to achieve the goals that are consistent with those principles, we gotta overcome the resistance. And if we don't follow through with self-discipline, then we are not going to achieve those ends. But to me, the self-discipline does not have this ultimatum, not necessarily a self-attack behind it. One could make the case that attacking oneself by insulting oneself with prerogatives such as laziness is immoral, but if you're using willpower to get important tasks done in life, you're providing value to other people and you're not infringing on anybody's rights, then more power to you. I don't think that willpower or self-discipline, one or the other, is necessarily better, because I know people who use willpower very successfully, and for them this kind of strength and power struggle and conflict works more than this negotiation inherent in self-discipline. For me, it was not until I found self-discipline, and I don't know about you, but to me, my impression is that the use of willpower is much more popular in today's culture. There's much more of a discussion about just do it. The motto is quite popular, I find. And self-discipline would be more of a discussion about living a principled life, focusing on the self-knowledge aspect, right? What are my principles? What are my core values? And so to me, the use of self-knowledge facilitates a gain in self-knowledge because it necessitates it. Like, for as long as you don't know what the principles are, the values that you want to act with in order to achieve your highest goals, then you can't act with self-discipline, right? You just don't know how to act. And so this is a kind of a virtuous cycle where in order to act on your values, you got to know your values. And the better you know your values, the easier it's going to be to act with self-discipline. So when we find ourselves in moments where we have an ideal to strive for, we know that in the moment we're not acting with the greatest amounts of courage. We should be doing something else instead of watching more TV or eating ice cream or whatever it is that you're struggling with. I mean, for me personally, it's certainly don't have this third meal of the day because I already had enough calories in the first two meals. Overeating for me tends to be my weakness, and tends to be one of those moments where I either utilize willpower or self-discipline. in those moments where we can say, I want to spend one more hour in bed, or we tend to not make that decision consciously, but just make no decision and just spend more time in this null zone, or watch more TV and eat more potato chips or whatever. Now we don't get those pleasures of the meal or the comfortable hour on the couch or whatever. But rational self-discipline is not a sacrifice if we recognize that it's a necessary prerequisite in order to achieve our highest goals, right? Because we are not going to achieve our highest goals if we continue to act with cowardice. So it's not a sacrifice long term. It is hard in the moment, but then again, raising that awareness about our truest, most dearest values can really help in order to bring about the achievement of our highest goals.